So I'm going to start here with this layout, and I'm going to be using Lean Grievanson Designs Festivals. And welcome here. I just wanted to let you know that my layouts, they are more in the artsy side. So I used not a lot of elements in terms of 3D, but I use more brushes, and I like to blend my own papers with the papers that the designers give, or textures, and using a lot of brushes and paints and splatters and not a lot of 3D elements, and you're gonna understand that as the layout goes away. So I started here with a 12 by 12 300 dpi canvas, and I use Bridge here, and if you use Photoshop Bridge, you can see everything, and it comes free with the photography plan. So she has papers, and she has stamps and brushes and things like that. So what I'm going to start blending the papers. So I'm having this, I'm gonna grab it with Bridge, which is awesome, is that you just double click and it opens directly in Photoshop. So I'm gonna go again, I'm gonna use this one, and this one over here, and maybe this one. So again, also these videos, I don't make a sketch and I don't plan anything, because I wanted to see the thought process and how I change things. Maybe I'm gonna use all these papers and maybe I don't. So that's how it goes. I wanted to see that it's important to be okay with this process. We don't have to have everything planned. So this, I know for sure, is going to be the base of the layout, and I'm going to start bringing all the other papers. So I'm just going to drag and drop, and it's going to magnetically be on the right side. So I'm just going to start bringing the papers. And this one. Okay, so, and the way we're gonna continue, we know that the green is gonna be my base. So all the other ones, I'm gonna apply mask. I'm gonna do Option Alt and create a black mask, which is gonna hide the content of the layer, because black hides. So Option Alt and Option Alt, and we are back to the beginning. You see here that when you apply the mask, the colors go to black and white. So if you're using a black mask, of course, you're going to brush with white. And I'm going to be using here my water blends here, and I'm going to put the link in the description. But I'm going to use this to blend as we go. You can also do this, you click on the mask here and you do a Command Control I to invert, Command Control I, and it's going to hide. So, okay, now we're going to start the fun. I have to say that I'm using a Wacom tablet, a little one, and I'm gonna put the link there for you guys to see which one I use. And I'm going now to start blending, and I think I'm gonna start with this white paper here. So I'm gonna click on a mask. It has to be white to review, and one that I like a lot is the Water Blends 5 Dynamic. I'm gonna make it big, and I'm gonna start bringing that paper back. So remember that the paper has to be white, and I'm gonna put the blend here normal, and you see that it start to come. I don't want the paper to come so much, so I'm going to reduce the opacity. So just a little bit here. And let me bring now this red. And let me try another brush, maybe the 4D. Always check if your mode is normal here. And I definitely don't want this 100% opacity. So then you can kind of create your own background when you play with the brushes like this. And I think for this one here, I want very, very little. So I'm just gonna reduce even more the flow of the brush and the opacity of the brush. Why I'm reducing the flow? The flow is what, think about the quantity of paint on a paintbrush. So I'm just reducing the amount of paint. I'm not putting water to make it translucent, if that makes sense. So I just want little touches here and there. Again, we can all fix that later if we want. That's the beauty of using masks with brushes. So I'm gonna go back here, and I'm going to go to the other folder because it has the shadow already. And I'm gonna bring my picture. So I'm just gonna go and bring my picture. So I have my picture here of my new puppy. So I definitely don't want all this background here. So I'm going to brush her as well. So again, we're gonna go option, mask. And actually I'm going to invert because I put the mask in white. I want just to have ability to see what I'm removing. Let me go first with some texture brush, and I have this brush again black now because the mask is white. So I'm just gonna remove some. Yeah, this is perfect. I'm just gonna reduce here the opacity and the size. Where I have the lines, I'm gonna go, actually, let me put back to 100 so I can remove these lines here. Right? And I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna Command Control J and give her an overlay. And this top one, I'm actually going to remove everything. Let me just see what I'm doing here. Oops. Okay, now back to this one. Remember, you always have to be on the mask. I'm going now to come with that soft brush again, the 5, and really small. The flow is already reduced, so I'm just going to reduce now the opacity a lot because I want us to see this, but not so much. And now I'm gonna go 100%, and remove this here. And so it's just a work, I think, to me, very relaxing and flow. And I love the sense that we are sculpting our layout. We are not, we are having freedom to do what we want and not what somebody else did. Okay, so that is great. I'm going to highlight these 2 layers, put them in a group. And now it's great because we can remove this here. And you can see that I have, I can actually mask the whole group. And I'm gonna get a brush, and in black I'm gonna just remove these lines here. Let me see again if I see a little bit here. So let's go again. Oops. Brush. Okay, so that's great. That's great. Let's bring now the banner. So in Photoshop, you have to do shift while you do that. So you transform, because otherwise it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna mask now. I'm gonna go to the brush, but I'm actually gonna go with Photoshop general brushes, and I'm gonna get a round soft brush. Let's go here. And I'm gonna erase it here. Making really small, just from her paws to show. Go back here. Put back to normal. If it not work, it's because you're probably on a layer blend, so it's not, you're not doing anything wrong. Looks great. So it just looks like she's on top of the thing there. And what I want to do again to give more freedom of this, I want to do some stamping here on the backgrounds, and so I'm gonna put a layer here. Oh, too much. And I have some stamp brushes on my brush set, and you can see one that we like. And I want to use the colors that we already have in her, so we create kind of a harmony, and then later I see how that goes with the background if I need to remove something. So I can add different strokes here of watercolor. Let's pick up this red. Well, that's a very strong red. Maybe let's reduce the opacity. There we go. And let me see this one. Let's see another color, kind of a orange there. All right, let me see, and there's a green here. It's coming a very dark green. So I don't know, maybe on the back. I'm doing Option, and I think in Windows is Alt, and then you have that. We can always also diminish here the layer opacity, and I'm just gonna do a triangle here. So let's look at how it is now. All right. And I think I'm gonna come here on this paper and maybe get some of the texture brushes to remove a little bit, but not totally totally remove the paper, but with some texture. Change brushes. I'm gonna put a mask on this one here. If you change brushes, then there is some versatility to it. Oh, did too much. Let's put this small. Okay. And let me get another texture here. Go to the white one. Yeah. And I want to put a mask on this stampy here, and let's just remove this a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna get this script here, and I'm gonna get probably this one, and let me go here, transform. Let's bring this here, So again, shift. I think I'm gonna put this behind. And remember, we can always play with the stamps. You don't need to use as they are. And I'm gonna put this one there. Perfect. Love it. I think I would like something more 3D. My layouts, they are mostly, I don't use a lot of elements per se. I like to work more with paint. Okay, so I'm gonna clean up. I don't need this picture anymore. And let's bring that there. And this goes all the way to the top, right? So I use for the shadow from Mamiya's Ultimate Shadow for Photoshop. Really like her shadows for Photoshop. So I'm gonna use a one here. And the thing that I like about Photoshop is that you can come here, and if you don't like something, you can make that distance smaller a little bit, and that works great for me. Again, shift, and I'm gonna put right here maybe, and I think, oh yeah, let's bring the heart. And today's a gift, of course. I'm gonna put right here behind this little, yeah, right there. Shift, and let's do it the shadows again. Perfect. Always go back to see how it looks. I love this today as a gift, but I think it's too big, so